All right, awesome. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello, hello. So we're going to get started in just a minute. I'm just waiting for some more people to hop on here. In the meantime, please feel free to, if you go down in the bottom of the screen, you'll see the chat bar. And so if you want to just put your name into the chat bar, your major, and like what brought you to this info session. What are you interested in learning about green? Awesome. All right. And so I think we can get started. So hi, everyone, and welcome to the Green/SUNY info session. My name is Courtney, and I'm from TGP, and I am co-hosting this SUNY /Green info session with SUNY student and Green ambassador Joe Kulsick. And so like I said before, at the bottom of your screen in the toolbar, you'll see that there is a chat function. So if you want to just engage in that chat function, also throughout the info session, you can also put any questions that you may have in there as well, and we'll go over it at the end of the info session. So at this time, I'm actually going to kickstart us off with our intro video.
Oh.
Oops. Oh no.
Sorry about the sound. We're experiencing technical difficulties. It's all Google's fault, or Zoom's fault, not ours. Not ours at all.
Awesome. And so that is our green video. If you are just tuning in, welcome to the green program. I see that some of you have already started engaging in the chat. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Rachel. We have Kyle in here also, so thank you all for coming. Again, welcome back. My name is Courtney, and I am actually the Assistant Director of Global Enrollment at the Green Program. And so essentially what my position at the Green Program, what I do is I help people enroll into the different programs. I help pick the program that actually fits perfectly with your background, with your major, looking at your professional goals and also your personal goals. Also too, I help with resources, and then I also do outreach to help spread the word about green. And so if you look at the different Let's Connect links there, you can connect with me through my email, through LinkedIn, and then also that's the phone number. You can also send me a text as well if that works better for anybody. And switching over to our main person,
Hi, everybody. So I'm Joe. I go to UB studying chemical engineering. So all the chemies out there, I see a couple of you in there. So I just put all my info in the chat too if you want to talk to me about stuff. So like I said, you can text me, feel free whenever. We will never be able to cover all the little stories and stuff that we're going to go over today. So just happy you're all here.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. And so firstly, we're going to start off with how the GREEN program was founded. And so the GREEN program was actually founded in 2009. And if you look at the person in the center, Melissa Lee, she's actually our founder. She has a huge smile on her face. And so the way that the story goes is back in 2009, Melissa actually founded the GREEN program while she was in college. And one of her first days of school, she actually went into this huge lecture hall full of all of these people, and she was very concerned that this is the way that people are learning. And so fast forwarding to spring break, her and a couple of friends actually went to Costa Rica. And in that Costa Rica trip, they actually stumbled upon a wind turbine farm. And so usually facilities like these are very secure. They have a lot of security. They were able to bypass security, walk up to the door, knock on the door, and obviously the person who answered was very confused. But after some conversation, they were able to actually get a tour. And so they put the whole suit and gear on. They were able to go in, touch some of the different machinery, and that's when it kind of clicked. Like, this is how people engage and learn more. And that's how GREEN program essentially was started, which was really incredible. Passing it over to Joe.
So what is TGP? So it's obviously focusing on short-term trips, but you're going to be learning all about sustainability, and whatever program you pick, they're all great, but they all have their own little niche to fill. So some of the skills that I gained was communication. For mine, we went to Nepal and nobody really spoke English in our village. So it's like, how do you even start to communicate with somebody when you're just kind of pointing and looking and they're doing the same thing? But it all works out. And it's great for leadership. It's one of those things that you get in there and you're just out there in the world, getting to actually take charge and look at new things and do things and come together as a team. It's amazing. You get lots of applicable skills.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. All right, so for the GREEN program, what our mission is. So our mission is essentially to educate and empower future sustainability leaders through innovative models of experiential education, travel, and adventure. So Joe, tell us a little bit more about how your program experience empowered you as a sustainability leader.
So thanks, Courtney. I think it's great because it just really put like sustainability right on the forefront of my mind. You're going to be chemies or UNECs, all the other engineering. You're going to learn about it, maybe a slide or two in class, and then moving on to the next thing. But now it's like you really get to be immersed in it. And it was great for me because my senior design project now is actually focusing on photovoltaic cells and water pumps. So it was exactly what the GREEN program was doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. All right, so for our program and what our model looks like, so our programs are short term, they're 8 to 10 days, and during your spring, summer, and winter academic school year breaks. And so with this also, you do have a chance to gain course credit from the in-country or your program destination country university. You can go back to your home university and talk to your advisor or your registrar's office about leveraging those credits. Also too, so our programs are career focused and also align with the SDGs, also known as the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, where you will also gain insider access to our various facilities. You'll complete a sustainable business model, also known as our capstone project, and then you'll also gain hands-on real-world experience. And so for each of these programs, there is an increase in accessibility. And what that means is that for these programs, you don't have to give up your internship for the semester. You don't have to give up your job or sacrifice any of those necessary credits that you need for that semester in order to graduate with your major. Our programs are set up so that you can do all of those things and still have an abroad experience. And then lastly, once you complete the program, you're then going to be submitted into our alumni network. And so as a GREEN alumni, you are an alumni forever and you have these benefits for forever. But essentially, it's a professional development platform in which you get to interconnect and network with all of our past participants. You'll also get weekly newsletters and updates about different job openings and internship opportunities in the industry. There's also invites to different conferences, webinars, seminars. There's leadership opportunities, mentorship opportunities. You also have an alumni reunion. There's so many benefits even after you've completed your program abroad with us. So throwing it to Joe. Joe, how has TGP and your program impacted you long term?
So long term, it was awesome to just think that I didn't just go on a trip where I just got to see some sights and work around and, oh, that's it, that's cool, but I go home. It's like, no, we actually saved the village from having to pack up and move away, and they've been there for forever. So it's like I'm not even just learning like on a classroom or I'm in another country, great, but now I'm sitting in a classroom. No, I'm out there with the people, putting the stuff together, getting my hands dirty, sweating a bunch. And I loved it. I got to write a really nice paper as well at the end, just for my credits, and it was a really good experience. It was so unique and different than the day-to-day school.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So diving into our different programs and some more details, for the TGP programs, you're basically inserted in each program destination exactly where they're at in their sustainable development journeys. And so for each of them, they do have a particular topic in mind. And so for instance, with Peru, it's water resource management. And so Peru would more so be at the beginning stages because there's still some things that need to be implemented. And so for this Peru course, it is on the topic of, like I said, water resource management and sustainable practices. It is a 2-credit course from the Universidad San Ignacio de Loyola. And then on this program, you're going to start off by learning a little bit more about the ancient Inca Empire and how the water resources have evolved over time to what they look like today. And then you will gain access to the hydroelectric power plant at Machu Picchu. It's actually on the other side of Machu Picchu, on the side that no one besides the people who work there have ever seen, and also participants of the green program. You'll also do a field test at an ancient Inca Empire agricultural site. There's also the service learning project where you'll get to engage with the community. And then also there is a huge adventure and cultural element. So whether that's zip lining or salsa dancing, it's very well-rounded and a really great time. Nextly would be our Japan program. So Fukushima, Japan is a great example of a case study where it's in the middle of the sustainable development journey. And so for this, for Japan in general, they've made huge strides since the meltdown of Fukushima and also the tsunami that had occurred. But they do have a while to go in order for them to be 100% renewable and sustainable by 2030. So for this program, the topic is on disaster mitigation and nuclear to renewable transitions. And so this is a 2-credit course from the National Institute of Technology, Fukushima College. And so on this program, you're going to gain access into various facilities, including the nuclear power plant at Daeani, which is next to Daiichi that actually had the meltdown. You'll also experience some cultural immersion, including a traditional Japanese tea ceremony, as well as you'll do a day trip in Tokyo, which is also amazing. For this whole program, it is a real hard hat hazmat suit type of experience. And so for this next one, for our Nepal program, I'm going to throw it to Joe to give you more information about his experience in Nepal.
All right. Thanks again, Courtney. So yeah, Nepal, the best program in my opinion, totally unbiased, obviously. So the focus is on solar, but you also learn about the rest of the challenges that Nepal is facing after the earthquake. They had a lot of things get destroyed, and they're actually incredibly water rich. So I didn't notice that they're second largest in the world as far as water resources. So it's trying to get all these basic systems right back up to where they used to be. So a typical day is pretty busy. You're waking up around like 7 or 8, having a good breakfast, and then doing classes. So you're learning from the best. You know, there's some people that were studying in American universities. There's some from Nepal, from all over. So you're getting all these classes. You're taking a small break for lunch, and then it's either some more classes or activities. There's at least one activity a day. So whether it's seeing like the World Heritage sites, going to a temple full of monkeys that try to steal your stuff, or seeing the oldest statues in all of the city. You know, you're winding through these tiny little alleyways and everything with our guide. So it's unbelievable. And then you stop, you have dinner, which they're ordering everything for you that you don't even have to guess. You don't even have to try. They're just like, we know you'll like this. And then you get some free time. So you still get time to go explore on your own and that. So it's not just completely structured the entire time, but there's always things to do. And then the highlight, at least for me, was the homestay. And hopefully a lot of you feel the same way. That would be awesome. So you travel out, I think it was about 3 or 4 hours out to this village, and it's sun up. You're getting ready to go to work. You have lunch on the site because you're working so hard, and then sun starts to go down, so it's time to stop. You have dinner, and you get to interact with some of the locals of the village. They were all amazing, trying to speak in broken English, and us trying to learn some of our Nepalese words. And that was basically the whole homestay. You were so busy the whole time. You can see the picture on the left. You're looking at these huge vistas, and you're like, okay, I spent like 20 seconds. Time to go move this giant reel of cables up this mountain. The fun part was at the very bottom right. We actually lifted that entire 600-liter water tank all the way up that hill by hand with ropes. So they drove it, they set it down, and let me tell you, it was quite the experience. Animals are great there too, so you don't have to worry about, like here, you might see a stray dog and try to run at it, but the one on the bottom left there, they're just everywhere. They're so friendly, they're so nice, they're running around playing with you. So it's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I don't think you could ever get anywhere, actually.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Joe. That's awesome. And all of these pictures are absolutely beautiful. I can see, like, if everybody looks at the top right-hand corner, you can actually see the Himalayan mountains.
They do not do that. Picture does not do it justice. They are absolutely massive. Like you've never seen anything like it, I promise.
Absolutely beautiful. So thank you for that. And now going into the Iceland program, last but not least, for our Iceland program, it is a great case study and great model for a more futuristic side of sustainable development in that journey. Iceland already has so many wonderful things implemented, but now it's more so looking at things that were maybe overseen or unforeseen barriers and challenges that you can't really compare to most other countries because they're not at the same level just yet. And so for this Iceland course, the topic is on renewable energy innovation and sustainability. It is a 1.5 credit course through the master's graduate level credit course through the master's department at Reykjavik University. And then so essentially for this Iceland program, you will learn more about Iceland's specific sustainable development journey. You will also gain access into various facilities, including the geothermal power plant, which is actually world renowned for its carbon capturing. And so you'll actually get to meet the person who designed that facility as well. Our Iceland program is also a high adventure program. So you'll do a glacial hike. There's a 2-day hiking camping trip. You'll go into Geotown, which is a whole town that runs on geothermal energy. And you'll actually go to a little cafe that's there and just so much more. It's such a great experience. For each of our programs also, like I mentioned before, you'll actually participate in a capstone project. And so I'm going to throw it to Joe to give you a little bit more information about his capstone project.
So our capstone was ModMed, a modern model for modular medicine. Didn't plan that at all. It's just how it came out. So we chose to focus on those UN goals, no poverty, good health, clean and affordable energy, and then sustainable cities, especially because Nepal is up and coming again. So our idea was basically to have an entire clinic, solar panels, medicine, communications, everything all in one big kit. And we wanted to be able to get these out in the villages, and you're just not going to be able to do that kind of thing by road. It's just not going to happen. So we actually looked up all the specifications for Nepal's military and found out they have 6 helicopters. So we ended up making our product be able to airlift it by these helicopters. Obviously, it's a little pie in the sky idea. It's a little out there, but they loved it. You know, they said it's so amazing when they first had power, because now they had cell phones, and now they had cell phones, they could do banking and they could call people and they could do all these things. But one of the things they can't really do is run refrigeration, and can't have vaccines and a lot of medicines without refrigeration. So that was our ticket. We were like, this is what we want to do. And we consulted with the doctor that was on our trip, and he helped us a ton with just talking about Nepal. He's like, yeah, if we were like sick, they could go down the mountain and maybe get seen that day. But if it's anything else, they have to drive forever away, basically, just to get medicine. So we wanted to solve that issue for them. So that was our project. It sounds so easy on paper, but man, it was a ton of work. There was phone calls. We actually there's a company that does a similar product to ours, and we called them and they said, oh, would you want to come tour it right now? We're available tomorrow at like 5:00. Well, we're in Nepal, so we probably won't be able to do that. This is a company out in like Virginia, but they were just, yeah, it was an awesome experience just to like go through it and like make this company. And some of the people who do their capstones actually end up turning their capstones into a business. So I think there's 3 so far that people have successfully marketed and are out there in the world.
Yeah, which is really incredible. And also, too, if anybody wants to learn a little bit more about Joe's capstone projects, you can always reach him at through LinkedIn also, if you want to throw your LinkedIn in there as well, Joe.
Give me 1 second. I'll talk.
But going forward also, so for each of the programs, there is also this element of stepping outside of your comfort zone and then leaning into these new experiences. So whether this is through whitewater rafting in Peru or meditating in a local temple in Nepal, so you're going to be harnessing this leadership development aspect. And also too, additionally, I wanted to let everyone know that for each of the programs, you're going to have your trained guides who are going to be with you the whole time. And so they're trained in first aid, mental health first aid, and also have an emergency preparedness plan for each location. So essentially they're there to keep you safe and also to make sure that everything is on time for your program. They're also really cool and they're locals to the area. So Joe, I'm going to throw it to you. What was your favorite part about the program?
So I think my favorite part was just getting to like really get the behind the scenes. Like you talked about the guides, and like ours were just amazing. Like when you drive in Nepal, there's like no rules. So people are just driving on either side of the road, zipping in and out. There's people walking, there's motorcycles, and our driver was just as casual as could be, just barely even looking around, just somehow dipping between all these people. Didn't see a single accident. But even just walking around with them, they're like, oh, you want to go here and check this out, or like, hey, I don't know if you guys saw this, but here's like some history. So they were just hands down just amazing people, and I still talk to them actually. They're on LinkedIn and everything. So yeah, they were great. Just everything. Like I said, they're ordering all your food for you. They're taking care. They're waking you up in the morning, like jam, let's go. We got to get on the road, guys. Definitely a fun experience, and all the activities are great. I can only speak for the ones I went to, but like I've done yoga a little bit, but I didn't get to do yoga by a yogi in Nepal in a temple. Like it was awesome.
That's awesome. Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
So moving forward, obviously the programs are wonderful and great, but what about COVID, right? So firstly, I wanted to make clear that for our top priority, the green program's top priority is making sure that all of our participants are safe. So we would never have anybody go on one of our programs if it is unsafe to travel. So with that being said, I also want to mention that TGP is monitoring our program's destination countries protocols as far as COVID, as well as our participants' home countries protocols. also the CDC regulations to determine travel safety. And then with that also in mind, for the application process, when you do fill out that application, it is non-binding and it does not expire. So you don't have to pay for anything until you decide on what program you want to enroll in, and when you're comfortable to enroll in your program. And then lastly, if your program is to be postponed, we do have other options that I'll talk to you about in a little bit as well, but also you can switch into a future program, or you can also receive a full credit for your program. If you have already enrolled into your program, we will then, and anything were to change and your program were to be postponed, we would reach out to you directly, give you all of your options, and then work with you on what would work best for you. So one of those options is our Learn Now, Travel Later program. So with this, if your program were to be postponed, you would still take that class portion during your pended travel dates. But then you would only just take that class portion, in which you would then work remotely at your own pace. And then also you get one-on-one office hours with those professors as well, who are also very impressive industry leaders. And then you would do the travel portion when it was safe to travel, and we would also schedule that with you and figure out what works best. And so now with this option, you also, after that class portion, would then be immediately submitted into the alumni network, where you can then gain those full benefits and start networking and using the full benefit of the professional platform. So if this is something that you are interested in, our Iceland winter program has actually officially switched to this model, and something that you can also enroll in at this time. Another option would be our online certificate course, which is a 2-week intensive course taught by Professor Sagar from Kathmandu University in Nepal on ethics of sustainable development. And so essentially with this course, it's questioning what is exactly ethically appropriate when it comes to sustainable development. After you would complete this course, you would also receive a certificate of completion and full access into the alumni network. The first course actually started this past Monday, and so we will be launching another course very soon. And then another option that you can potentially do is just the Iceland online class portion. And so with this it would just be that master class, and then you will still gain those full benefits of the class, meaning that you would be working remotely. You would also be able to do it at your own pace and have that flexibility. And then also you'll have those one-on-one office hours with your professors from Reykjavik University. So once this is completed, you would then also gain the full access to the alumni network as well. Great. And so now I'm going to pass it off to Joe to tell you a little bit more about his post-program experience.
Thanks again. So yeah, I think about this trip like all the time. Like I wear my jacket I got over there. It's all colorful, and I think about like how pretty it was and how nice everybody was. But it's just the impact of like we were like sweating out. Like, are we actually even gonna make this work? Like we were building the water pump, and halfway through it started to slide down the mountain, so we had to stop and find the one rope in the whole village to stop it from falling off the side of the mountain. And then we ended up getting the okay the very last day, like right before we were leaving. We should have already left, but they wanted to watch us see the water turn on. They turned it on, and all of a sudden there it is. Like it took a second, and then when water starts showering out, and all the villagers are cheering and jumping around. Oh, the water's here! The water's come! And it was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to forget that fact that village can now continue life. So before they had to walk, I think 2 miles, and not just 2 miles, 2 miles down the mountain and then back up the mountain every single day just to get water. So the fact that we were able to get out there and really make a difference in these people's lives was awesome. And not to mention, we got to meet some other amazing people. As I butcher his name, I'm just going to say Mahabir, because I think it's fun, but I'm not sure. I'm going to put him in the chat. If you want to get idols, just Google this man. He is unbelievable. He's won the equivalent of the Asia's Nobel Peace Prize for just making all these communications in Nepal. He was such an inspiration. He came and talked to us and he just gave us cell phone numbers. If you have any ideas, let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you. A little bit about him. He basically made Nepal's first telecommunications network by hand. He came to the U.S. to study Nebraska and said, "Why don't we have that? I can do this." So that's what he studied, and he ended up making their first satellite communications, basically. So between just meeting him, meeting all the villagers, having that go on, seeing some hydroelectric power, like I can't think of any time that I'm not like, oh, that wasn't worth it. So yeah, it's amazing. I keep saying that word, but I can't think of any other thing to describe it. It's just utterly amazing.
I know, it's like, how else do you describe this experience besides like, it was amazing,
10
I
out of 10
gotcha.
stars.
Throwing it back to Joe.
So it says that 95% of the students experience a shift in their attitudes towards sustainability, and I can definitely say that's true. I'm studying chemical engineering. A lot of you are too, and you have you realize you have a huge responsibility not to just make the best product or make a bunch of money, but like what you do can really impact the world. There you see in the news all the time. Well, this chemical company spilled this or this happened. Like, well, no, you are a steward of the environment, and that just kind of helped me see this here. Like when we were there, they said that they used to have horrible brownouts, like up to 16 hours a day. The power would just go out, and it turns out that there was a lot of corruption and not a lot of incompetence behind it. And one person made his life's mission, and he reworked their entire grid, and now they lose power maybe an hour or two, if that. It's like it just shows it's like, man, one person really can make a change. And like I never used to really think that. It was just like, oh yeah, that's like just a lofty goal, but no, it's real. So that was one of my big takeaways from the trip.
Oh. I always tell our participants, and I also have this to my core, but it's just one of those things where it's just not going to take one of us. It's really going to take all of us, all of us being committed, all of us, working together and just trying to make that drive. So with that also being said, the impact that we see for participants, for the majority of participants, it's very impressive. The majority of participants say that this program has changed them in some way. And also even parents too, when their participants come back from the program, say that they also see a change. But it's especially what the key part of that is a lot of our participants say that it's that, professional and academic and personal growth and those goals that change, and just having more of that sense of direction. That makes sense. So throwing it back to you, Joe, do you want to say a little bit more about your experience with the alumni network?
Yeah, so I like the fact that, I'm still looking for a career. I'm not sure exactly what I do, but it's just nice that it's constantly there's more options. Like looking out there and talking to people hey, what do you do for work? Oh, what do you do? And it's just realizing that okay, I don't just have to become an engineer, sit in a cubicle, make some money and go home. It's oh, there's all these options, and you can make your career whatever you want. Actually, I met Grace. I was down there at Global Foundries working over the summer, and it's also about environmental sustainability, and that's what I was working on. So it says find your purpose, and mine seems to be water because they just keep getting it. I worked my first internship. Part of it was wastewater management, not waste what you do in the bathroom, but industrial waste. And then I went down there, and I was also in charge of hydrofluoric acid. So if anyone knows anything about that, it's really nasty. And just oh no, I can be the person that makes sure that everything's safe. It's just awesome. And yeah, I would never feel weird reaching out to somebody from the green program, because all you have to do is say, I'm so-and-so from green. They're probably already sending a reply back immediately. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, definitely. With the alumni network especially, and with the platform that we have, it's very easy to interconnect. And then also to, any of the alumni and participants can then reach out to anyone at the green program and say, hey, like, I'm interested in this field. Can you connect me with somebody? And that's also an easy transition as well. Throwing it back to you, Joe.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just go there. It's talking about that the alumni are all strongly driven in their careers and choices and determined to have an impact, and it sounds so like rigid, but it really is true. Like, I don't think anyone there was that like, I'm just gonna sit back and relax, and if something happens, it happens. Like, no, these people. One was a master's student, so she's been working in government for years. I know one just went to GE. I'm trying to think of I think the rest were in school, but these were all like real go-getters. It wasn't just like, oh, I felt like I was out of place. Like, everyone was like, what do you guys want to do today? I want to do this. I want to do this. Let's go do this. Let's work on this. Like, yeah, it would like, these people are really, they are some great people. They're gonna make huge waves in the world. So that's what I'm excited to see how everyone keeps going with things.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe. And so who is qualified for the green program? So we work with undergrad students, grad students from all majors and backgrounds. I always say, like, one of the best parts about the programs is that you can find exactly where your specific major and background fits into this key part of sustainable development. And so with that also being said, we are currently enrolling for the Iceland, Peru, Japan, and Nepal programs. You can also check on that application as well to get a better idea of the dates and season that works best for you and that you may be interested in. You also have the chance to choose all of the ones that you like, and then you would actually be working with me, and we can just narrow it down to whatever fits best for you. And so at this time, I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. We will do a Q&A where I'll answer all of your questions. If you have to go, you can always feel free to reach out to me directly. It's Courtney at the Green Program, and I'll also put my link in the chat as well. And then you can also reach out to Joe directly as well on his email or through LinkedIn. I also wanted to mention that if you do apply before October 2nd at 5 p.m., your application does receive priority status, which means that you'll get your response of whether you were accepted or not before the 24 hours, which we would usually start evaluating those applications. And so at this time, if you want to just put your questions in the chat, I will answer them.
Don't be shy. I know somebody's gonna ask something. Come on. Well, I'll pose the question then. Who's really interested in Nepal? I saw.
There were some people who were really interested in Nepal. Which programs are available to undergrads? All of them are available to undergrads. Some of them are, when we say graduate level, it's not just for graduate students, it's just the academic level. But they are, like I said, open to, all of them are open to undergrads, grads, and professionals. So even if, this is your last year and you're a senior and you want to go in the summer, that's still something that you can do as a graduated student.
That answered the
yeah, recent grads as well. Great question. Great question, though.
Nobody wants to hear if there is like any good food.
What type of engineering gets a lot of experience? How do you mean what type of engineering gets a lot of experience?
Can I just ask it here?
Yeah.
I was trying to like ask like I guess what engineering like benefits the most from this program, I would say. Like what type of engineering mostly gets like up, like mostly gets in, or like what gets the most, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know.
So let me see if I can answer this in the best that I can. So for all of our programs, they are all popular for engineering majors in general. That because you have like this hands-on element, you're also going into these different facilities and really seeing the different workings of these various engineering departments. And then post-program as well within the alumni network, because a lot of our participants are engineering majors. There's a lot of people in the alumni network who work in these various fields and companies in their engineering careers. So that's also a really great benefit as well. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. I just had a trouble wording it, that was all.
It's okay. It's okay. Do you work on the capstone project individually or in your travel group? That's a great question. So when you're on the program, you actually break up into your interdisciplinary groups, and that's how you would work on your capstone project. But I'm also going to throw it back to Joe so he can give you more a better idea of what that looks like.
Yeah, so thanks, Courtney. All the groups are basically split up. Yeah, they're trying to not do too much. Like, you're not going to have, oh, we're the chemi team, oh, we're the mechie team. Like, everyone's working out together. And there's not all engineers too. I know that for sure. I can't remember specifically what some of the other people were taking, but it's all helpful because it's not just, okay, we need the nuts and bolts down. It's, we need, how are we going to source the funding? How are we going to make it sustainable? You know, we can't just, yeah, it's done, it's out there. I know one of the teams was working on wind and solar farms out in the ocean. So it was like, okay, well, how do we do that? And the one person just so happened to know a lot about marketing. So they knew like where to go and to find all the info and how to actually build a nice looking presentation. Cause that's the other thing that sometimes we lack is they did theirs and we were like blown away. Like, why does it look so good and ours looks so bad? So it's really interesting to see how that all comes around. It's not just engineering focused.
Yeah, exactly. Because when it comes to sustainable development, you do need all of these different areas. And sometimes people think that it's not, sustainable development isn't for them because they don't see themselves in it. But that's one of the bigger and best parts about this program as well, even though I sound really biased, but it's one of the best parts of the program as well, because you can really see your pathway through your background in sustainable development. So like whether you're in education and you're teaching it, or you're in corporations and you're learning how to redo your corporation so that it is more sustainable for the community, whether you are an urban planner and you have to do the layout and the design for it. There's so many different areas where you're in policy or politics and you have to set these rules to put them in place. You know, there's so many different areas, and a part of the program is that you learn exactly where you fit into that. Yeah. Can you apply more than one time? So with your application, you don't need to apply more than once. We'll always have your application and it turns into a profile on our end. And so if we accept you that first time, then you're always accepted. And so even if it's, you know, over a course of time and maybe it's not something that you would be able to travel this winter, we can always still stay in contact. You can always reach out to me and say, hey, Courtney, not this winter, but maybe this summer, you know? But yeah, it's non-binding and it doesn't expire. But really great question. These are all really great questions. If COVID-19 is still not under control in the target country at the scheduled standard program time, would the program be canceled altogether? So from those other slides that I showed you before, so for instance, with this upcoming winter programs, we did switch them to the Learn Now, Travel Later. And then one or two of the programs actually had to be pushed back and postponed to the springtime. The reason why for this session, even though it's not necessarily what it's going to look like in the winter, it's just kind of taking what it looks like right now. And as of right now, it's very similar in pretty much all of our destination countries as the US, where it's just like, please don't travel if it's unnecessary. And even though this would be traveling for education, there's still some, there's still some things like, for instance, for Iceland, you would have to, take the test, then quarantine for 2 weeks, then you would fly there, take the test again, and then you have to wait a day. And so those are just like a little bit too much as of right now, but with tracking it as it is at this point in time, by springtime, it's probably going to be a lot better of a situation. But we're going to still work with you. We'll let you know ahead of time, obviously, of what it's going to look like and see what you would like to do. And whether that's transferring to a later program or doing the Learn Now, Travel Later model, or we can talk about that full credit on your program. When is the deadline to apply? So like I said, October the 2nd, so this Friday by 5 p.m. If you were to apply, you do get a priority status. Also too, I would like to mention that if you apply through Joe's shared link, you can also get a discount off of your program. And so we can also talk about that a little bit more as well. How competitive is the application process? Do many people get denied? And if so, can they reapply it for a later trip? That's also a really great question. So this program is also very competitive. Usually people who are very interested in sustainable development, interested in applying it to their career, are usually the people who reach out to us and also go through the application process. Now, if you are denied, you do have the chance to reapply, and we will let you know that that is the case, that we would ask you to reapply. A suggestion that I would make is that on your application, there are a couple of essay questions. And so I do recommend putting at least 3 to 5 sentences, if not more, through those essay questions. And those essay questions aren't hard either. It's essentially just getting to know you and who you are and what you want out of the program. So just be honest and complete with your answers. Is there anything else you want to add, Joe?
Yeah, the application process really isn't that bad. I mean, I didn't slave away, but I didn't just fire it off. It really was. It was just like, you shouldn't think of it as difficult or like weird, because you're just saying how you feel. And like I said, I think they can really tell that who's genuine and isn't. So it's yeah, as long as you're being genuine, I think you're going to be good to go.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also don't forget to put in your sharing link, Joe, so everybody can use it. But yeah, you're welcome. No worries. Also too, like I said, if you want to connect with me directly, I can also go over your other questions as well. We can also set up a phone call conversation and talk a little bit more about each program specifically and which program would work best for you.
Oh, I forgot to put that link in there. 1 second. There we go. Now you can all go.
Awesome. Very cool. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Anybody want to know that, they actually use the bathroom differently in other parts of the world? I don't know if you guys knew that. You go there and they're like, oh, the toilet's in the ground. That's different. So all these fun things you can experience.
The cultural immersion.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
Well, like I said, if you have any other questions, you can always feel free to reach out to me directly. It was really great for all of you to join us. I'm very happy, and I hope that you learned a lot. You can also reach out to Joe directly through his email address and also through LinkedIn. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn as well. But I hope you all had a great time and have a great evening. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.